Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity. And today, yes, I know it's June, but we're going to do Halloween. So, I'm going to be using Snap Click Supply and some black cardstock, and this is what I'm going to be using. So, I'm just going to dig it out here. I've got a couple of sheets of black cardstock. This one is from the Cosmo Cricket Haunted pack, and I'm going to do this as a slimline, and I'm going to use the palest colour as my base. And then the witchy hat that you saw yesterday, I'm going to do in this. This is purple. Actually, it's a lot darker than it's showing on camera. And then I'm going to do my pumpkin in the orange wood grain. And then in the darker sort of browny shade of wood grain, I'm going to do the boo. And I've also printed off the cat from that set. So if I decide to use that, I'll throw it in somewhere, but it will be fussy cut. I'm also going to use some sequins that I got from Tuesday Morning a long time ago. And there are some sort of like, I don't know what you call it. It's more of a washed out black than a jet black. And you've got some clear stars, and you've got some sort of beigey, almost autumnal tones in there, and a little hint of purple. So they've been sitting on my shelf for several years. Do you remember when we all used to do hauling from Tuesday Morning? Yeah, the good old days. I wish they'd have all that stuff back, but never mind. And also my Dollar Tree Jot Glue that I keep in a little needle tip bottle from AliExpress. So the dies that I'm using today are the Surprise Creation Jagged Edge Full Size Slimline. I'll turn it that way. So I'm going to be using the largest one. And the reason for that is because the boo that I'm using may just overhang the edges slightly. I think it's going to be fractionally. So I'm going to cut that in my palest cardstock, and then I'm also going to use my guillotine and cut a sheet of black cardstock for the backer, because you don't just want a thin sheet of printed cardstock because your card's going to be all floppy. So the boo is going to be done like that, and then all of the frames are going to be cut in black, just a different colour on the innards of the shaker. Right, the other one was the pumpkin that you saw yesterday. And rather than do this one as a shaker, because I feel that one really is more autumnal, I'm going to leave the pumpkin plain and just pop the face into it and its little bits of greenery. And we're going to do the hat as a shaker. So that's the one that's going to get the purple background. And of course, we've got the elements here and the edges of the shaker. I don't know whether they're going to be purple or black. It's going to be one or the other to tie them in. But I'm going to run away now, do some die cutting, and come back and let's put it together. Right, so before I run away and do the rest of my die cutting, I just wanted to show you my Dollar Tree foam board. That's what it looks like when you run it through. So there's the boo frame to do the shaker. There's the hat. And all I do is use a craft knife to cut off small pieces that I need. And if you go into Dollar Tree and you buy it, you'll see that it's in a huge sheet. It's like 24 by 36 or something. So anyway, if you wanted to leave something like that, you could certainly do that, and you know, fix it on the back with your tape so your pieces aren't going to pop out, and you could paint that, glitter it up or anything, and you've got a lovely 3D pumpkin, and you can see how thick it is there. So you know, you've got to be aware, will your shaker pieces fit? Now, because I'm using it as a frame into my pumpkin, I pop those bits out. So I just wanted you to see how easy it is. It's not that what you get coming out of the machine is, you know, seriously deep. It's probably 5 mils, I would say. Maybe a little bit thinner. I don't think my measure goes that tiny, to be honest. But eyeballing it, yeah, I would say probably on some of the pieces will expand back up to about 5 mils. So if I poke the hat out there, you can see the same thing. You could certainly poke this out, you could paint it, you could glitter that bit up, and you could stick it straight back in if you wanted to. But it's just going to be the frame, and you can see the thickness there for the shaker. So these bits get, you know, dumped in the bin. And the same with the boo. Just push your bits gently and it will come out, she says. It will come out, I promise. There you go. And you just run it through on your normal plate. So I put it through in the center of the plate because the outside edges of your plate will always have the most pressure and you don't want to crush it down too much. So I tend to place my dies in the middle of my plate and run them through. And I have actually die cut my boo, so I haven't done my acetate yet. I'm going to run off and do that. But you would have the acetate over there. Now, the backer, as you can see, is larger than the front. And that doesn't bother me because when I cut my acetate, it's going to overhang around the edges. And that's pretty cool. I'm okay with that. But your boo would go there. Pretend you've got your acetate there. And then you pop your frame on top. So basically, that's what your boo is going to look like. I think it's a pity that they don't do a solid core black version or in different other colours, you know, like pinks and creams and stuff for autumn. But, you know, white is okay. I'm okay with white. So that is what the Dollar Tree looks like, the Dollar Tree foam board. So I'm going to go away now, finish my die cutting, and I will be right back. Right, so I've been away and I've die cut, and that is my orange. I know it doesn't look very orange on here, but it is. It's orange and it's got like a purple wood grain. And then there is the Dollar Tree foam board. There's the piece of acetate that fits on top of there. And then there is the black frame, which obviously when put on straight is going to finish it off. And it goes in that order for all of them, except for this one, which has a boo that is a large background. And what will happen with that is if I take away the black frame for a second, you will line that up with its wood grain base so that it's overlapping, and then you will line it up with your boo on top so that you kind of like, that's not on straight at the moment, but you shiny it around all the edges so it still looks nice. So that's what I've got for the boo. And in fact, what I will do is I will glue the boo, which also comes with a bat and a spider. I'm going to move these out of the way. Those go together and those go together. So we'll glue this one and then I'll go off and glue the others. And I've also done my base, which is the slimline rectangle. This is the largest one. And then I've cut myself a piece of black as well to make it even bigger. And it will go that way around. But of course, because I always drop my camera down so that you can see everything, I don't always manage to fit everything in. So let's glue this one. I've got my little weight. So I just use a steel rule die as a weight. You can, you know, use any size you want. And if you watch my videos, you know I have a tendency to shake things before they are dry. I urge you not to do that. Really, it's not good. Your stuff will go everywhere. Right, so down first is my foam board. And I'm just putting a little trail of glue all the way along here. Now, foam board does stick down very, very quickly. I think that's because of its very thin paper. I can't say it's a backer because it's on the front and back, and then you get the foam in the middle. And you can, if you want to, peel the paper off, although I never do. Because I like it, because you can colour it in if you want to. Now, I'm hoping that's, you know, a little bit straight on there. And that needs pushing down and left to dry. And of course, it has to be completely dry because I've got to put all my little sprinkly bits in there, or just a few of them in there, and then the acetate will go down on top, and you're going to just track the edge of your foam in order to fit that down, and then you will be gluing your boo on. If you've got double-sided adhesive sheets, you can do that, and it can be a lot easier for some people. I don't like to use double-sided adhesive in that way when I'm using acetate, because I have a tendency to stick things down where they shouldn't be, and if you've used an adhesive sheet, it can be a little bit hard to get it off. So I'm just squishing that. I'm just putting my fingers in there, making sure that there's not too much wet stuff for things to stick to. And I'm going to see what we've got in here that will fit. Right, there is a little bit of static in here. So I know that I want to go for a little bit of black, but not too much. And I know there's little stars in here, so I'm trying to dig those out. So I do want stars. Oh, I've got one in there. And you kind of don't want to overdo it, if you know what I mean. Right, pop that one in there. There's a couple of little stars in there. I've got a star in there, and I'm pretty sure I've got a star there. See, now that is, for me personally, the right amount of filling for that. Because it's not like you're doing a large open space. So we've got our little stars in. I'm going to flip them over, because those are quite 3D, those ones. In fact, if I pick it up, you might be able to see, if I can do it without dropping it. See, they're quite three-dimensional. So the next thing that we need to do here now is we need to pop down our acetate. And all I'm going to do for this, whoops, do you know, I left the lid off my glue bottle. That's not always such a good idea. And I'm just going to put a thin stream around. And then sometimes it can be a good idea to kind of smoosh it down just a little bit with your finger, so that you know you've spread most of it where you want it to go, rather than pop your acetate on and it can just, you know, squish around anywhere. So if you hold it firmly and just, you know, gently smear it in so that there's not so much to squish, so that you're more like that. I hope you can see that, because I can't pick it up. And then we're going to go in with our acetate piece and try and line it up, because once it's down, you don't really want to move it. Now I can see that I'm off quite a bit there. Okay, so we've got that, and now I've flipped over my boo frame onto its rough side, and I'm just going to go around with a thin track of glue, try to keep it in the center around there. I do love these needle tip bottles. I'm trying to think, what on earth did we used to do without them? You know, we probably got glue everywhere. And I'm going to flip that over. Now, of course, you can see much better than I can, but I'm looking at my foam and I'm trying to line it up, and I don't want to smear it. I think that needs to go up just a little bit, probably. Let me hold that down. I'll pop that down. Doesn't matter if you've got a little bit of white showing. And then just use your weight and pop it down there and let it dry. So while that's all going on, I'm going to finish the hat and the pumpkin, and I will be right back. So I've made those, and fingers crossed, I think they're actually dry enough to put onto a card. So I'm just going to move those out of the way. I've still got these three little elements left here. This tiny little bat goes with the witch hat, and I've popped the spider on, and that isn't quite dry yet. So that's a little bit risky to be moving around. But I thought those three little elements can go together somewhere on the card. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. This is the card base, and it's lovely because it's got that shade there. So you can actually decide where you want your shadow. I'm going to have the darker piece going off to the right. So I'm going to put that down, and because it's longer than my camera angle, I'm going to try and lift the camera up just a little bit without sending it blurred. Move that over. You can see you've got all kinds of weird things that go on. Right, now that's gone blurred, so I need to drop it again and find it. There we go. So I'll start with the top part, and the top part is where I want to have my actual hat, and then I want my boo in the middle. So you can see this is quite a shaky card, and if I slide that up, the pumpkin is going to go at the base, and then I've got these three little elements that I can just dot around. So if I go that way around, hopefully you can see it's going to be quite a shaky card, but I promise you I am not going to shake it on camera. Not this time. No, not after what happened last time, because I'm always doing that and my bits drop out. So I'm going to let my bits stay there this time. So the way that you see it there is the way that it's going to be, and I'm actually going to glue it sideways on so that you can see, and it's just Dollar Tree glue. So I'm going to start with a pumpkin first and just go around the edges. I don't want to go completely to the edge because, as I'm always saying, your glue will squish. So just wet glue that down into position, and I hope I got it straight. I'm just going to turn it. There we go. So that's that, and then if I've got it this way around, you can see the boo, and I'm going to flip the boo cautiously as well and glue that. And I do thank you so much for joining me today. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, I had a few comments at the weekend that said, wow, you know, I haven't seen your videos in such a long time, and it suddenly popped up in my feed. So I think what you're supposed to do, if you want notification for when I've done a new video, you're supposed to hit that little bell symbol. I think it's in the bottom right hand corner of your videos, and then every time I post something new, it appears in your notifications, you know, like somebody sent you a message or replied to a message on a video, that kind of notification, and then you get to know that there's a new one. Right, let's get the hat in there, and I want that to be quite central. I'll take that up just a smidgen, but I'm looking at where the brim of the hat is, so slide that over just a little bit, and then I'm evenly spaced. Now if you've got sorts of, you know, stars and spangles and glittery bits, then you've got plenty of space to dot all that kind of stuff into it, but I'm going to go with my largest bat. I'm actually going to put that there. I do like having cute little elements because things like that, they can be popped onto envelopes as well, like a little tiny envelope seal. And the same with this little spider, you could do exactly the same thing. But for the little spider, I think I'm just going to kind of pop him down there and cram him between the O and the pumpkin. So I hope you can see that. So I've got him coming down there off the O. And then I've got a tiny little bat, which I'm just going to pop in the centre of this bit up here. Squeezing a little bit of glue onto his body. And I'm just going to have that there. There. So that is my Halloweeny card. And I'm going to pick it up, and I promise I'm not going to shake it. But I just want you to have a close-up of all those little elements. Now, I think I've got a little piece of sequin there, so probably stuck to my fingers. But that is the hat. And, of course, you can add silver or gold or all sorts of sparkly bits. You can do it in pink. There's your boo. There's your other spider. And there is your pumpkin. 3 shakers on 1 large card. I just think that's awesome. Love it. Right, once again, thank you so much for joining me. I am up tomorrow with the stamp set, and we're going to use pencils to colour that in because, as I said, there are some quite intricate little details there that if you used an alcohol marker, you would just be bleeding ink outside of all of those lines. So, and I did say with the haul, if you've got a magnifying glass and you can do it, then, you know, go ahead and do it. But I'm not that kind of person. So I'll be getting the pencils out and doing that stamp set tomorrow. Right, once again, I hope you have an absolutely awesome day. And as usual, all links below. Bye.